Thank God we are safe and alive, and that's why we're here today. And we will also urge you, while you stay at home, continue to be safe and alive for your family. But this is possible when you observe and follow the directives given by government to stay at home and also observe social distancing, not forgetting also hygienic practices of regular hand washing with soap and water. Well, very good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on yet another episode of Capital Sports from the Unity Station NTA Abuja Channel 5. Well, from the last 7 days, we know a lot of things have happened, even though most of sporting events have remained suspended. But we know one or two things are happening, who is talking and who is saying it, and what is the latest development that we will be giving you on Capital Sports today. And with me today, I know as regular, Badi Adeleye, not only on the sideline of giving us the tidbits, but will also be joining me on set to look at some of these latest developments. I am Abdullahi Ajia, welcoming you to this episode of Capital Sports. As essential workers, that is why we're here. We'll serve you as they are happening. Join us again. Thanks for being there. Well, today on Capital Sports, Badi Adeleye is also here. Badi, you're welcome to Capital Sports.
Abdullah, it's always good to be here.
I believe we are maintaining the social distance that we've always preached, to viewers to observe.
Of course, there is there is a serious need for that, because we can see what is happening, around the world, and it's good to know that the sports community too are cooperating. Although recently we've seen some players, who have flouted that order, but notwithstanding, it's biting hard on sports, and we need to take caution.
Well, thanks very much, I think, for that opening remarks. And I know we have one or two issues that together we'll be looking at on Capital Sports today. But before we go on to that, if my director is ready, please serve us the tidbits to water the ground for our discussion.
Hello there and welcome again. Now let's take you on a quick ride around the world of sports in 240 seconds. Super Eagles assistant coach Joseph Yobo has revealed that he does not have a coaching certificate yet, but insists he's the right man for the job. The former Everton man, who said he would have completed his coaching course by now if not for the coronavirus pandemic, however, insists he has all it takes to coach the team. Super Eagles forward Ahmed Musa has made the list of Premier League's 50 worst players released by 442. Musa, who is ranked 44th on the list, joined the then Premier League champions Leicester City in 2016 but had a forgettable time there. He scored just 2 goals in 21 appearances for the Foxes before joining Saudi Arabia club Al Nassr. With reports heavily linking Nigeria and Villarreal winger Samuel Chukwueze to the Premier League, the 20-year-old says is open to a future transfer to Chelsea, although the former Nigeria junior international previously missed out on a switch to Arsenal. The attacker has revealed that one of their London rivals, Chelsea, are his favourite team in England. Chelsea are one of the clubs that have been offered the chance to sign Felipe Coutinho from Barcelona. The Brazilian is currently on loan at Bayern Munich until the end of the season, but the Bundesliga club are unlikely to take up their option to sign him permanently. Barcelona's iconic Camp Nou stadium will be renamed for 1 year as the Catalan chieftains are eager to cash in on the famed edifice to raise substantial sum of money to support the fight against coronavirus in Spain. When finalized, the 99,354-seater stadium will be renamed with the combination of the sponsor's name and Camp Nou. The Champions League and Europa League look increasingly likely to be played exclusively in August after more talks about the remainder of the 2019-2020 season on Wednesday. UEFA told the 55 associations on Tuesday there was still the possibility of completing the domestic leagues by the 31st of July, with European competitions following after, although nothing definitive has been agreed as UEFA is keen to leave all options on the table. Roger Federer has called for a merger between the men's ATP Tour and the WTA, which runs the women's circuit. Federer believes it is too confusing for the fans when there are different ranking systems, logos, websites and tournament categories. The 38-year-old's comments have been attracting support from his fellow professionals, including 19-time Grand Slam winner and long-time adversary, Rafael Nadal. Former heavyweight champion David Hayes says Anthony Joshua is the only boxer that has all the arsenal to beat Tyson Fury. Joshua beat Andy Ruiz Jr. last year in Saudi Arabia to reclaim his world titles, while Fury knocked out Deontay Wilder in their rematch to claim the WBC world title in February. And with many tipping the duo to fight soon, Hayes says he will be rooting for Joshua, whom he believes can stop the Gypsy King. And that will be all on Sports Tidbits for this week. Do enjoy the rest of the show.
That was a superlative Badia Deleye with a superlative package there on Sports Tidbits, and I think you will agree with me that I think he has set the ball rolling, looking at some or most of the latest issues as far as sports is concerned around the world. Now, back home here, but before we go into our discussion, but I want to also tell our viewers that you can also watch this program through our social media platform. You can join us. Facebook is Capital Sports. Our Twitter is @Sports Capital. Then Instagram is NTA Capital Sports. Then you can send us an email via ntacapitalsports@gmail.com. And when we open the lines, you can reach us through this number 092-910-984. I think you can follow us, and so that you'll be part of our discussions today. But there are a couple of issues there contained in the Sports Tidbits. And I will say, okay, let's say charity begins at home. Let's start with Joseph Yobo's issue. Joseph Yobo is the Super Eagles assistant coach, and we all know how, he came to that position. It's raised a lot of doors, among sports enthusiasts, but I think that has been rested for now. But I think the latest is about his coaching certificate. I thought the issue has been rested, and we look forward to seeing him bring in his experience to the Super Eagles.
Since we're in the midst of a pandemic, and you get to speak to so many people at home, and it was a virtual interview for him to talk about what's really going on. And when he was appointed, many believed it was more political than technical or otherwise. But the issue now is that he said it was about getting his coaching certificate before the pandemic struck. So but nevertheless, he believes he has all it takes to be the assistant coach of the Super Eagles, which means he can even be in charge of the CHAN team. You understand? Now, looking at it, another thing here, many have believed it can be a motivator, it can inspire the young ones, but it could serve other roles in the team, not the assistant coach. But it has come out to say, look at me, I'm qualified. I've played around the world. I've been with this team. He even said he captained Nigeria for the first time in 2001. That was about 19 years ago.
Okay, but let me interject a little. But even though we are not his employers, but we are part of the football fraternities in Nigeria, and if we must have a say, but I think the normal thing is you, after probably retiring as a player, you go out there, go coaching training. I think they have grades, badge 1, is it badge A, badge B licenses,
A license, B license,
and probably at the end of the day,
Pro.
you have a certificate. I think that is what is obtainable, elsewhere in the world.
These days
we didn't see that.
These days, there are like 3, 4, 5, ways for them to go. You can decide to be a television pundit. You can decide to go into management, not coaching, like to be an administrator. You can decide to be a coach. You can decide to be an agent. And you can decide to, have just like a normal sports firm. So a lot of things these days, I felt it's so punditry as the first option. We saw him, we were seeing Yobo on TV, before the appointment. So I think now that this opportunity has come, he wants to take advantage.
Well, I always say, this program is we're always looking forward to seeing when Joseph Yobo will bring his wealth of experience to bear on the Super Eagles and our national team.
Even though it's debatable.
Well, okay, now let's quickly go to I'm not happy on the issue of Ahmed Musa. I want to say I'm one of his fans because as far as we're concerned, Ahmed Musa has done, averagely, well for Nigeria and the Super Eagles. I think currently he's a captain of the team. But looking at this rating or ranking of, mentioning him as one of the, 50 worst players in the APL, I think I'm not happy with that development.
Same here, because I've got, feelings for the Super Eagles of Nigeria and our captain for that matter. I believe Ahmed Musa was not really that bad, although he played 21 games. How many times did he start and all those things? Yes. We've seen players flop, even Andrei Shevchenko himself and some other big players. Yes. Are you telling me, like, since the era of Premier League, Musa is now number 44, Ahmed Musa, so I don't really believe. I think that's sentimental.
Okay. Now, Ahmed Musa, I think as far as the national team is concerned, we saw him at the last World Cup and what he has been able to do, at least, I think, scoring a brace in one of the matches. So I think he has not done badly as far as we are concerned. And if we want to rate him here, I believe we'll give him a pass mark.
All right, maybe it's just going to be like an inspiration to Ahmed Musa. He can still go back to the Premier League. Let me give you an instance. If Mohamed Salah hadn't gone back to the Premier League, I think there is a call.
Okay. Hello, we seem to have a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Wow, buddy. All
right, like I was saying, if Mohamed Salah had not gone back to the Premier League, he would have been rated as one of the worst players. That he really didn't deliver while he was in Chelsea. The same thing for Kevin De Bruyne. The same thing for many other players. But he went back and proved himself. Maybe this is just like a wake-up call to Ahmed Musa. He said he's still a young man. You understand? Let's believe that it doesn't have a football
quickly
age.
Before we leave this issue, I think currently he's not doing badly in Saudi Arabia, and even though we don't get to watch much of his games.
Yeah, he came out recently to talk about the Saudi Arabian League. He talked about how tough it is that people do not really know, and he has been performing. He has been churning out impressive performances. We have another Nigerian that has just joined him. That's John Ogo. So he's doing well. So maybe he needs to come back to the Premier League to prove his mettle.
Hopefully one day, probably, I think he will consider that offer. But thank you very much. Now, quickly, our own very Samuel Chukwueze. I think the line is seem to be busy. Hello, is anybody one there? Wow. Okay, Samuel Chukwueze is doing not badly. He's doing very well as far as the La Liga is concerned with Villarreal. And I think anytime he plays, I think I watch him and I like his doggedness. Considering his age, is one young player that has that lion heart, if you ask me. And I think he has always brought his experience to the Villarreal team. And anytime he plays, there is this, push for only on the attack line. And from what we're just getting, I think he's interested in joining Chelsea. Do you think Chelsea is the best place for him to be?
It happens that way. Most times you feel like you've been supporting this club right from childhood. By the end of the day, you're going to play for their rival. For instance, Paul Pogba started supporting, Arsenal as a child. But now he plays for Manchester United. He has feelings for Chelsea. He said he cried when they lost to Manchester United in the final of the Champions League years ago. So now he wants to play for Chelsea. But he could be surprised. He could be playing for their London rivals, or, or even Arsenal, that in North London, or Tottenham. At times in football, you don't really, play for the team that, you're supporting. So, and whether you like it or not, you need to score against Chelsea. I wish him well, but to me, I'll feel that he should just stay one more season with Villarreal, and let's see what he has, or what he can offer. We've seen him, scatter defenses of Barcelona and also some other teams in La Liga. So he should do more. So like, whenever he goes to another team, he gets to start. It's not like they don't tell him that you're still developing. So he should, maybe when he's 22, he can leave Villarreal.
And I think, talking about Villarreal, Nigerian football fans are also with Samuel Chukwueze. I think as far as the national team is concerned, this one player that has also played very well. If you remember the last Nations Cup, I think Chukwueze, I think he even scored. And I think we'll all support him and wish him very well in his choice of probably the next club if he, wishes to join any other Premier League club. But like you said, I think it's always very good to relax, think very well, think twice, and the possible, because there are some moves you make, I think at the end of the day, you will regret why moving to that particular
it's even funny,
going to warm the bench and not getting the playing time
Chukwueze and
so required.
Kelechi Nwakali were offered to Arsenal.
Yes.
Arsenal chose Kelechi Nwakali and rejected Samuel Chukwueze. Now after some years, Chukwueze is doing wonders. We cannot find Nwakali.
Yes. Well, okay. I think that's a very good one for him. But we wish him well. And I think not only Chelsea that he's interested in. I think other Premier League clubs will also be interested in him, like we got in the past. Top clubs, are also interested in him. But well, we wish him well. Now, but quickly, let's look at the issue of Barcelona. I think is a good one. Spain is one of those countries in Europe that is currently battling this COVID-19, and the figures of deaths there, I think, has been so scary. And I think Barcelona now is trying to sell a part of its rights. Is it stadium rights or whatever to call it?
Stadium.
To be able to raise money to support the fight against COVID-19. I think that is a good one.
Yes,
Please hold. Please wait.
Okay, I think Barcelona, just like Manchester United, and some other teams, they don't like selling. They don't like selling some rights out. We know how it was for Barcelona before they got a sponsor, before they allowed sponsorship on their shirts, and even the first time they did it on their jersey, they had to pay UNICEF to put it there. And this time around, we've always known them, to always come out to help, the vulnerable in the society. This time around, they just want to sell the naming rights for a season for Camp Nou. But they are doing it in a way that Camp Nou, is still there.
Hello.
Maybe it's...
Okay. Hello. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Your name, please. Where are you calling us from?
Okay, I'm Abdullah calling from Maitama.
Okay, please. Your contributions.
I like what you guys are doing. It's a wonderful program, enlightening. And I would want you to touch on the sports development amidst this coronavirus presently in Nigeria, talking about the local league, Nigeria Professional Football League. What's happening? Like a heads up.
Okay. Thank you, Abdullah. Okay.
All right, maybe we can quickly answer that one before we return. We know in Nigeria, just like the lockdown, it's not 100%. In a country like Germany, they're going to be resuming their league. Their league will resume by the 9th of May if government approves. It's because all the players, the coaches, and people that will be doing that, they will be 100% obedient. But if you try it in Nigeria, tell the players that they can play maybe inside empty stadiums, you're going to find out that they're going to break the lockdown rules. We're not that obedient in Nigeria, which means so far this pandemic is not over. I don't think there will be any way the league will be resuming. I'm back to Barcelona.
Okay, and I think before you continue, Bade, if Abdullah is still listening to us, and I think like what Bade is saying, I think what is important at this time is our safety.
Yes.
We have to be alive before we come to talk about playing football, supporting football, and even knowing the club you're supporting. So I think let's agree with our government and the authority, the administrators.
You're very much right.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, this is a professor from Mako.
Okay, quickly, please. What's your contribution?
Yo, I actually want to ask a question.
Okay, good.
The point that the said that home-based players, like the home-based players, you don't have enough quality for institutions for them to celebrate society. So I want to ask you, do you agree with me? Because to me, to an extent, I agree with you. I don't want to ask you, do you agree with me?
That what?
That there's no quality in the players that are applying their trade.
Okay, Badi got the question. Okay.
I think a quick one there. So just like some journalists and some experts have come out with their own, views. It is, whether you like it or not, we know what is happening. So many of the players are only 17 years. Every year they are 17, People that are old enough to be your grandpa, they are still 17. So, this is one of the things. And when you give them the opportunity, just like Sunday Mba, for you to stay calm and, get into the national team, you want to leave Nigeria. You're using the Super Eagles as an opportunity for you to play abroad. But whether you like it or not, we cannot deny the fact that there's still quality. That's why this has been, included in his new contract. He has to go around. We're not telling you to bring the 23 players from the Nigerian league. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it shouldn't be more than 6.
And I think it's not something, like you said, it's something that has to be very tactical, and it's not something that you just say, okay, your 23 players will be coming from the local league. What we're saying is this is our very own league. And I think if you look at South African national team, you can count the number of players there that are home-based. So I think we have the players here, and I think what our league is suffering from much is the publicity that we don't much,
we don't even have it on TV. So how are you going to know the players?
How do you know that we have the quality? So part of the contract is go around this stadia and watch, 1 or 2 matches, and you'll be able to, see 1 or 2 players and invite that player to the national team. And at the end of the day, we'll all agree that we have quality back home. Now, back to the issue of...
I was talking about Barcelona. It's good. So at the end of the day, if it's Abdullah Ajia that is, claiming that is buying the naming rights, it's just going to be maybe Abdullah Ajia Camp Nou Stadium or Camp Nou Abdullah Ajia Stadium. But Camp Nou still remains and will be joined with the name of the sponsors.
Okay, well, that's a good one. And at the end of the day, we hope and pray fervently that we all come out of this pandemic. And Europa and UEFA league likely to resume August.
People have been talking about the domestic leagues across Europe, England, Spain, and all those things. But whether you like it or not, UEFA would like to finish their, their competition. It's quite easy for them with 4 matches, for a team. Maybe they can just cut the first and second leg to be 1 match and others. So they are, looking at a way of having those competitions played in August. But there's just one problem. There could be traveling restrictions because a team in England might want to travel to Italy, and there's a travel ban. So that's one of the things they are looking at. They're just praying that by June, July, leagues could be concluded in Europe, and by August the Champions League and Europa League will be concluded.
And another thing, area that will definitely be affected, I think, is the area of fans too. But whenever such competitions are played, as a very big team, you're carrying your fans, to give you that support, to cheer you up, and if Europa and UEFA Champions League, are resuming, I think we'll not see that aspect of the game now. But I want us to look at the issue of tennis, where Roger Federer, I think, is talking about the ATP and the women ranking issue for harmonization. Do you agree with that?
Very much. Abdullah, there's FIFA. There's no WFIFA. There's no MFIFA. So where do we have Association of Tennis Professionals? That should cover everything. And we still have Women's Tennis Association. Now you're going for Wimbledon. WTA is organizing this, while ATP is organizing this. So during this period of this pandemic, they think they have time. They can, find a way to get a merger, and it's been supported by most of the players and former players, and that's good.
Okay, well, I think if they accede to that advert, I think it's going to be a good one, and at the end of the
discrimination and all that.
Yes.
Talking about.
Okay, but at this juncture, before we continue, let me remind our viewers that they can reach us on Facebook at Capital Sports, Twitter at Sports Capital, Instagram NTA Capital Sports. You can also send us an email via ntacapitalsports@gmail.com, and even though we got one or two callers, the line is still open, 092-910-984. Now, quickly, Badi Adeleye, I think with this COVID-19 pandemic, how have you observed the Nigerian sporting family? Now, a lot of competitions have been put on hold. The National Sports Festival, Lagos Badminton recently I learned was also put on hold, and so many other sporting events. Now, people no longer get the opportunity to watch some of these, sporting events. How do you think?
Let me just give you a quick answer, Abdullah. We can see that the Nigerian sports fraternity, they've been doing so well, led by the ministers and the minister and the president of the federations there. They've been doing well. Some athletes have been training themselves. Some, the coaches, they've been, are getting certifications and other things. And, they've been, getting support from the, the well-meaning guys in the society. And I think they're coping well, and they're responding, to the instructions, given by the government.
Well, that is administratively talking. So I think we are putting one or two things together to ensure that things are working out well. But I think practically on the field, we'll not have opportunity to be part of that. Well, Badi, I've been given signal. I think we spent, our time in the studio here, and we'll be looking forward to next week when we also come here to look at, latest sporting issues in Nigeria and around the world. We'll urge you at this time to stay safe, stay alive, stay at home, obey government's directive of regular hand washing, and also not coming out when it is not necessary. I remain Abdullahi Ajia, your anchor. Next time, next week, we'll all be here by the grace of God, and we hope that the figures will keep reducing, not increasing. Good afternoon.